you know, and come before I guess the first thing is the cosmic elite. And we're going to go into some things today based on how you line up as this coming of the cosmic elite or the cosmic rise of the return of the gods. And it's none other than us. As a matter of fact, I'm going to read y'all go back to a time when we didn't have the technology. Right? You know, just like they take touch their cell phones off. You know, because you know, we got to do that in this digital age or whatever. You know, not necessarily it's disrupting. It's just it hits on the camera and the people, you know, out in TV land complain about it also. But I'm going to talk about basically, I'm going to put some libation in a few minutes, how this thing all comes back down to our lap. We broke this thing down to the least common denominator of what everybody has been worshiping all these years and wanting to come back is none other than ourselves. And we're going to go into the actual aspect today of how that's actually happening. A lot of new information and a lot of new things we can do also. So I'm going to pull some libations just basically to start it all off to get that out of the way. I'm just going to get it off the top of my head. I'm not going to do a long one because they all know who we are. You know, the Canadian whiskey is what this is. And, you know, they like any kind of alcohol. It's even in the movie, what's the name of that movie? The Muse. The movie The Muse with Sharon Stone was talking about the gods and how they just, it's alcoholics. They have drunks. But in so many words, it just means a spiritual spirit. Now, this is interesting because they got a big billboard. A big billboard, you can see it all over the country with Marvin Gaye on a Hennessy billboard. Yeah. So some couple of people have made this statement demanded they have to have it on alcohol. They have to have it on an alcohol commercial or whatever or advertisement. But then again, what is more fitting than spirits? I mean, you know, you got to understand is Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye was a product of a nightlife in a particular aspect. The people that basically was listening to his music and enjoying his music was engaged in a certain nightlife or certain social parties that involved alcohol. So that's fitting also. But if you understand spirits, then you'll understand that in actuality, spirituals, alcohol, it goes right along with all of the spiritual things with the God and everybody else. Is that her? Well, here, hey, yeah. Oh, you just got in? Let me make this something. Too late now. I just started the lecture, so I'm going to have to call you later. Yeah, I'm cool. It's cool. I just wanted to say something, but you know. All right. Yeah. Shoot. Technology done caught up with me. Hell, here you go, man. That's why I don't fuck with them. Damn cell phone. But anyway, we talking about spirituals, alcohol. As a matter of fact, it wasn't until the early 1900s or the early 1800s, no, the early 1900s that they stopped using alcohol in regular church. When you talk about wine, if you talk about it was the Welch's grape juice people who produced the product to give the people so they wouldn't have the alcohol in there, and that caught on, and that's when they started doing that with communion. But in actuality, it did us a disservice because the simple fact, the whole concept goes all the way back to ancient times, all the way back to Phoenicia. And it's interesting here because we're going to be talking about a God today, and a God today that came through. What's happening here is now we're being led directly, not so much from the scholarship, we have all that, but these particular instances will come through. This particular God, the God Pan, that's the God of nature in Greece, but actually the Greeks got it from the Phoenicians, known as the Minoans, and also in Christianity, the Canaanites. In so many words, they are the Phoenicians, the Black Seafarers. And this is one of the chief ancient deities, Pan. It comes from the Egyptian origin of the dynastic Egyptian, the dynastic Hamite Set. And Set, before it became degraded into a enemy in Egypt, was the most primordial god of all time. And in his attributes became Osiris, Anubis, Tahuti, Pan, and Dionysus. So this fellow showed up about 2 weeks ago. And what we mean by that is these particular entities actually start contacting certain people. In this particular case, it's my mate. And showed up, so I'm going to go into the lecture. But it's just interesting because we talk about the whole alcohol thing, but we also talk about this Marvin Gaye poster and with alcohol. And this particular Pan later on becomes Dionysus. The Dionysus is another of the form of Osiris. So just introducing people to a new spectrum of information. This particular image of this particular God later on was chosen to become the devil's image by the Christians. There's no image of the devil. They just said, well, we didn't use an image, so they just chose to Greek God Pan. You see what I'm saying? Which become the horn image of the devil. The point I'm trying to make is he's the God of alcohol, or the wine, or the vine. Later on, that would be associated with Jesus Christ. See how these things all interconnect. The interesting thing about the Marvin Gaye poster is, or the billboard is, if it wasn't for Hennessy advertisement, we might not have seen this big billboard with Marvin Gaye 1 year, Isaac Hayes 1 year, Pam Grier. I look I see Pam Grier. So by any means on how these particular images come to us, there are still images that we should, we should basically appreciate or basically hold up. Like take for instance, the passing of Richard Pryor. Now, that's a great loss in a particular way because we know that Richard Pryor was a revolutionary figure at the particular time after COINTELPRO had stopped the black conscious movement that overlapped from the 60s on into the 70s. Then you start having people, and you had two major figures alone in the 70s, especially from the mid to late 70s, with that basically black people really followed, or black people really looked up to, and one was Richard Pryor. Because Richard Pryor is the one that said, they gave us the comedy, you see what I'm saying? They gave us the social aspect, social protest, and kept us aware in his comedy. And the other one was not Martin Luther King, but also Muhammad Ali. Now it's interesting here that both of those particular people these days would end up with disgusting situations as far as their health, as far as what happened to them. And it's not by coincidence. Now we know that the one part is documented with Muhammad Ali, this white woman that used to follow him around to all his events. And in his movie The Greatest that came out in 1975, and she gave some statement in the movie, but the real statement was she told him that, you probably heard this on my tape, she said, with a big mouth that you speak out of, one day you won't even be able to speak out of that big mouth. And they made that a reality. You see what I'm saying? They made that a reality. By whatever type thing, because our concentration camps, our particular concentration camps, our killing fields is the hospitals. And when we get into this today and all, this is one thing that is clear that you have to stay away from that. The other part is, when it came to Richard Pryor, it was said that he was given a lobotomy in 1980. had when he went to, when he got burned up and had to go in the hospital and all that kind of stuff. Because it was interesting because he wasn't the same after he came out. The one from the 70s and the one from the 80s, you see, post 1980 is a different Richard Pryor that later on led to his demise as far as his condition. It got worse and worse. By the 90s, he was basically wheelchair bound and held hostage. You see, and if you saw pictures of him the last 2 or 3 months, when he made the transition, boy, I was a person that basically rejoiced. You see what I'm saying? I rejoiced for the simple fact I knew that this particular brother was out of the misery. And I know we say that a lot of times. I don't want to sound like it was a cliche, but if there ever was a cliche, we know that once he left that physical body, he said, God, I know this is a relief. You see what I'm saying? It's interesting because I have an aunt, well, my first cousin, she's just my mother's cousin, so, not being my mother's cousin, respectfully, we call her aunt. She made the transition in May. And when I was in Philadelphia, when I got back home, we contacted her because that's the type of thing that we need to start doing. Quit being scared. No one is actually dead if we contact anybody. So we contacted her and she was like, man, I never knew the freedom, because she got cremated. She said, I never knew the freedom of being outside of this physical body. But one of the things about that was, this was a woman that was so afraid of death until she had hung on for a couple of years. I mean, she was terrified of dying. But she came to the reality, I'm tired of this. And when she finally made the transition, she was basically thankful. The point I'm trying to make here is, I know that that's what happened when it came to Muhammad Ali, as well as the brother that they just killed the other night. What you got, Stanley Williams. This is interesting here because never before in history, and when you talk about in the court of law, or in this realm of law, that they ever use the nickname, you see what I'm saying, to define somebody. So some TV, they went Tookie Williams, and that's a form of mind control. To try to dehumanize the person that you're going to kill, instead of saying Stanley Williams. Now you go to court of law, and especially you follow some of these thug niggas down to the court of law, and you didn't even know their name was. You know what Johnson? You're like, where am I? That's the way it is in the court of law. But all of a sudden now we got national TV shows and national news broadcasts, and they're talking about Tookie Williams. Or if they did say Stanley, they said Stanley Tookie Williams. No one puts that much emphasis on their own nickname, not unless they're trying to dehumanize a person for a certain situation. You see what I'm saying? Now, I don't get into what they're saying because I do believe the brother had been innocent. But I do know when he was, because he never admitted to it, to his, to the time he died. But one thing about it is, I remember, I think it was Thursday, everybody was waiting over the weekend to see whether Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to pardon him. And I'm looking at it saying, well, he's a dead man for sure. He did his fried chicken. There's a new tape out. There's one by the guy, what's the guy named? He did a Road to 9/11. Alex Jones. He did one this summer where they went and they traced everybody's history back to the Nazi Party. And so, as far as his father was a member of the SS, and you ain't have to even go there. The man won his campaign by saying that I admired Adolf Hitler. Right? You see, and but in this particular documentary, they even showed that his fellow bodybuilders from the 1970s, these black men that was with him in the 1970s, would talk about how Arnold Schwarzenegger would come up to them and talk about how inferior they were. So we're talking about big time racist here. You see, he was talking about how inferior they were, and that's Alex Jones. Alex Jones knew a video, Road to 9/11. So we know this as far as, and he traced several of them, the whole Bush thing. Even Peter Jennings, that just died, everybody loved him. He was such a great lover of jazz. He was also a person that got to go to Bohemian Grove. Now, Bohemian Grove is a place where they go and they do rituals and sacrifice on children. This particular video that came out this summer, they even showed where they had sacrificed a black guy, had the little black boy on the table. This is in the 1930s. They try to show you people that they sacrificed. And so Arnold Schwarzenegger, Peter Jennings was a part of that. And it's interesting because there's a new video that came out in Nexus magazine this spring. And I forgot to order this thing. It's one with what's the people? Maxwell Jordan, David Icke. It's the whole group of conspiracy people, conspiracy presenters. I don't want to say conspiracy theory, because I heard some black guy saying, conspiracy theory. He said this just the other day. I'm like, well, you should have a history of being conspired upon. And if anybody should know that it's not a theory, it's black people. I mean, even your grandmama knows this stuff. Right. You see what I'm saying? Well, see, we got this mind control, that's put in our head. This tape is called Illuminati, All Conspiracy, No Theory. And in here, they give a group of people that they say is a part of this whole global elite. It ain't got nothing to do, this whole thing is beyond color and race. We get into the racial thing on an individual level, but on a global elite, they say that survival is the best theology. You see what I'm saying? So they've gone beyond just the whole, because you got a whole thing that's going on with it's a political thing, but in so many words, it's based on a global elite. And if you don't fit in a certain group, you see what I'm saying? You are called a goyim, useless eaters, and a bunch of white folks is up in that too. You see what I'm saying? So you got to understand this thing is bigger than that now. But one of the keys is they showed some of the people who was part of the global elite, and they had Sammy Davis Jr. hugging Anton LaVey and the whole Satanist thing. Then they flashed Michael Jackson. Now normally I go, oh man, they go there messing with poor Michael Jackson, and I thought about something for a minute. Because we know about the global elite, these particular people, one of the things that they do over and over and over again, they deal with children, pedophilia, rituals, and all those types of things. And I said, okay, now, if Michael Jackson is a part of that, then it's interesting how he could walk up in a court and come out scot-free and they don't find none of these people guilty. It is the last thing to happen. So I'm just trying to say, I'm not pointing the finger, but then again, on the other hand, we must look at things on a larger level on what's going on. What's going on a larger level. You got the brother Dr. Nye in the house. Yes, the brother that did the book, The Functionary, which is an excellent work you need to familiarize yourself with. But this is interesting about this. They flashed Michael Jackson. And normally I would say, well, they just making these games, but these people study the global elite enough to know certain meanings. But then, when they flashed Michael Jackson, I said, well, yeah, he did get out of this child molestation thing, whether he did or not. That's what binds them together. Is this whole child molestation thing. So even he was a freelance agent doing it. As far as they're concerned, that's what makes them a brother. And that's what the whole Bohemian Grove thing is all about. And then, if I wasn't satisfied by that, I remember a conversation from two brothers that used to work for Madison Square Garden in New York in the 80s. And I met these brothers back in 1999, downtown Atlanta. And they told me this story, and I think I put it on some of my tapes. They said we were there when because I think he came to Madison Square Garden, I think 2 times on the Thriller tour or whatever. And they said, well, we was working in Madison Square Garden, and this white man used to follow us around all the time. He said he used to have this bag with him. So they said, well, this is the money bag. They said, well, he's scheduled to come back to Madison Square Garden. The next time we come, we're going to distract this man. We're going to get that bag from him. So they said, so the next time he came, they distracted this man, got this bag, and they ran off and tried to look at it, and it was a transmitter. It was something that the guy had that followed Michael Jackson around some, we talk about people, what we call celebrities and these particular people that's involved. We could even say before they even put you up there and make you the superstar that you are, or allow you to become the superstar that you are, you might be in a whole lot of ritualistic stuff. You see, a whole lot of ritualistic stuff. So we must understand these particular things that's going on this particular time as we go on. Going back to the Stanley Williams thing, we know that Arnold Schwarzenegger was part. He goes to the Bohemian Grove. We know that Arnold Schwarzenegger is part of the global elite. We also know that he would be the last person to pardon some type of black person. Then we must understand this also. Why is it that we don't never know about these people until the public gives them to us? See what I'm saying? And no matter, and my point about that is this: how many books will be sold based on them executing him? See what I'm saying? The child books that he did. But nevertheless, it was still a mass ritual and a mass attack. What I say about that is, the very next day, I just kept feeling bad. I didn't know what it was. It wasn't based on Stanley Williams, because I already was resigned to the fact that he was fried chicken when I first heard about it. But it wasn't that. The next day, I just kept feeling bad, like I was sad about something. What it was is, let you know what frequency we are on. I was picking up the vibes of thousands of black people that had tuned in just for a few days. Some people only hit the him a couple of days before they fried him, or they gave him the gas. And what I picked up, I think that they executed on that Monday. Was it Monday night or whatever? And that Tuesday, all day that Tuesday, what I was picking up was this sadness of, basically how they can basically attack you. And although you say, well, I'm not getting involved with that, it's an attack on you. You understand what I'm saying? For the little bit of time that you tuned in, it was an attack. And I actually felt how black people was actually feeling. You see? And that's an attack. You see? They do it every Saturday night. If you watch TV, you watch the Sci-Fi Channel. Y'all all right? Yeah. You watch the Sci-Fi Channel. Most of the Sci-Fi Channel, when they have these movies made for Sci-Fi Channel, most of them, they always have a black person on there that gets killed. That's right. I'm like, they kill black people like more than the diabetes on this channel, man. They had one black guy, he had long dreadlocks. He was on one weekend, he got killed when the show first came on. Then he was on another, like 2 weeks later, he was on another one of their presentations. He got killed like 20 minutes into the movie. And you got to understand, that's a ritual. That's a ritual to psychologically keep you damaged mentally. It's the same thing that happened with the major ritual. You heard me talk about major ritual that happened in the fall of '73 when they killed Jim Kelly and Enter the Dragon. And not only that, they put his body hanging up on the movie poster. You see what I'm saying? And other than Bruce Lee, I mean, they had John Saxon. He didn't even know martial arts at the time, and he survived. But Jim Kelly was the world martial arts champion, and he died. And this thing affected me when I saw it in '73. And I never would say anything about it. But they had the 25th anniversary of the Enter the Dragon, which is one of Bruce Lee's best movies, when they put the money behind it. And I said, man, I can't buy this tape. I said, I can't buy this, man. I can't go through that shit no more. Or you see what I'm saying? Or they Jim Kelly on a punk move like that. You see what I'm saying? But that was a ritual. That was an actual ritual back then that they've been doing since the 1930s. So you see what I'm saying? But not that you can tell it was a ritual because they put his death on the movie poster. Which means if you didn't ever see the movie, you can see this poster, see this black man hanging up there dying, you ready to get dropped in the ass, and you know the whole story. But my point here is that these are rituals that they do to psychologically impede or damage your spirit. You see what I'm saying? So things are going on a psychological level. The good part about that is this, about what happened with the Stanley Williams thing. The next day was the result. When I felt the black people around the country actually on a level of sorrow. Although people were going about their business, nobody talked about it, there was something that was underneath, something so consciously You might be like, they were gonna fry him, they were gonna do this, they were gonna give him the gas. But on the subconscious level, you see what I'm saying? That was an attack. And so as a result, the good part about it is because we're able to see, or because I'm able to feel it, or because you're able to sense it, it means that black people are becoming more and more in tune, more and more aware of things on a subconscious level. Now, we're going to get into today with a lot of things we're going to deal with. Because we got a lot of information. But let me throw the libations. And so we can go on a lot of books. But I just wanted to also say, like I said, the whole concept of rich pride, that was a major loss. You see what I'm saying? Because that was one of our concepts. People, and my goodness, we losing them every year. You know what I'm saying? So they killed Luther back here in June. Killed the brother. Now, one thing I do know, if anybody that's ever been in trauma, or been in working a trauma unit, you need to get the movie Critical Care with James Spader. Excellent movie. You want to know about the medical association and the medical establishment? Get that movie Critical Care, 1997, James Spader. And they basically say we have the technology now to keep anybody alive. See what I'm saying? So, if you know anything about a trauma unit, if they can cauterize the wound and stop the bleeding, you pretty much can stay alive. They can take your brain and hook it up to some tubes in your heart and keep it running. So, if they stop your bleeding 1 week, there's no way that Tupac can live a week and die after his bleeding was stopped a week before. It just don't happen if you understand the technology of what they can do in the medical field. You see what I'm saying? The Pope, John Paul, got shot and didn't die. You see what I'm saying? This man was in his 70s or late 60s at the time. So don't tell me a 24-year-old or 22, I don't know how old he was at the time, 22 I think. But whatever. He gets shot and he's strong enough to live a week, and then all of a sudden he dies a week later. That means that that's his one. It was feasible to kill him. You see. So the medical profession, you see, they can keep people alive all they want. I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway. But it just goes to show you, if we talk about anybody that died at this particular time, it's because somebody is basically straight up killing you. You see what I'm saying? And these hospitals are very, very key to understand that. Okay, let's go to libations. We're just going to split it to a few entities, and let's get this lecture on the way.